Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to Play It Painted Live. We're back with another week here of doing some painting. And yeah, I was going to be back immediately the following week based on some of the stuff we talked about last week. But yeah, as it turns out, somebody hit me up and said, hey, I don't watch your show live, but I appreciate every week and I enjoy watching. So you know what? That's enough for me. As long as somebody's getting something from us, we're going to stay with our weekly program here. And yeah, we're just going to keep plodding along. So tonight we're going to be talking about staying motivated, and I believe Corey will be back with us again this week to discuss this topic. So anyway, while I'm still getting set up, doesn't look like we have any viewers yet, but that's fine. Let me go ahead and shoot Corey the link to this Hangout. And again, tonight's topic, we don't really have we have a loose topic tonight, but, obviously we can just talk about whatever we want, just us and painting. And so let's go over what I'm painting tonight. So tonight, we are looking at these. No, this is not a repeat episode. What happened was I actually sold that last set of Super Dungeon Explorer Relic Knights miniatures and went ahead and picked up another set. It's one of those things where you paint up a set and someone trades you their unpainted set and you hand them over a fully painted set and they pay you for that as well. So it's a good deal for me because, I have stuff painted and I don't mind going back and painting myself a set. So what we're looking at here is the Relic Knight Super Dungeon Explorer set. I am in the process of painting them. So here they are. You can see most of the colors are blocked out. So it doesn't look like there's a whole lot left to do on them, but you'd be surprised that there actually is quite a bit left to do. Not really liking how her eyes look here on camera. It's just not really coming in that great, unfortunately. But yeah, this is a set. The deal did not include Casaro toes, so Casaro toe is done. I just need to actually what I want to do is maybe just paint some kind of a logo there on the banner. But for the most part, he's done. So yeah, not a repeat, guys, but I am going through and painting another set like this. Now, I am doing some minor tweaks to reflect how my Relic Knights miniatures are. So, for example, on Sebastian Cross here, he's not blonde in my set. He got this kind of like silvery gray hair. And I understand it does look a little washed out here with the white armor, but I'm going to add some blue into that to spruce him up a little bit. The biggest departure would be Malia, who this matches my Relic Knights Malia, so more of a orangey yellow outfit and kind of the blue-green hair there. But for the most part, I mean, they're not that far off. So I'm going to be painting a few different. I'm going to be painting these all at the same time. So you will see lots and lots of black gray being applied tonight, and I apologize for that. That's just how I do these styles of minis. So the first night, obviously, airbrushing. Then last night, I did eyes and skin. And tonight, I'm really just coming in and finishing up. Well, I did some color blocking as well. And then tonight, I'm really just coming in and finishing up the model. So if you're just tuning in, welcome to Play It Painted Live. Let us know what you're painting, what you should be painting. If you want to make comments, you feel free to comment on the YouTube feed on Google+, or you can hit me up on Twitter at PlayItPainted. So anyway, we're just going to keep rolling here. I'm going to do this color, Sunset Red, which goes on a few different things. Now, these paints, I mean, these minis do have some colors that cross over from one model to the next, and it's nice to be able to capitalize on that when you can. So this pink being one of those colors, which we can capitalize on, and I'll show you here in a minute. So, for example, the pink there, you can use that to go inside the ear. These are like the bunny ears of Malia here. It's kind of weird. The Relic Knights version has two. She technically has two sets of ears. She has her bunny ears and she has her human ears. And so her bunny ears are going to get just a little bit of this pink on the inside. It's a sunset red, but you thin it out enough and it's just a reasonably blended pink. Okay, and we'll do a little bit of pink here in Kisa's ears. Not much. You don't really want to do too much in her ears. Okay. And then the pink is going to be here on one shot. This is actually, her hair is pink, so we're going to use this sunset red as the base color for her hair. So if you're just tuning in, welcome to Play It Painted Live. Let us know what you're painting, what you should be painting. As always, you can comment on the YouTube, Google+, or hit me up on Twitter at Play It Painted. I'm going to open up Q&A because I know some folks like to comment directly in the Google+ stream. So there we go. Now, these miniatures, as of today, Forgotten King hasn't come out yet, but as of today, these are my favorite Relic Knights, I'm sorry, SDE miniatures in the entire range. So, but that said, it's not the most fun to finish painting a set and then come back and paint another set. What's up, Corey? How's it going?
Not much. How you doing?
Doing good. So, Corey, what are you working on tonight, sir?
So I'm finishing my facing this guy here. I forget his name.
Okay. Karov.
Yeah,
I think.
for the Harbor Knight. And then after that, I've got Sebastian on the table.
Nice. So paint work.
Well,
so you're painting Relic Knights.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
yeah, Relic Knights painting. Okay. I'm painting Super Dungeon Explorer Relic Knights, so it's close enough.
I guess that works.
Yeah, I love these minis. It gets a little tedious after I just finish painting a set of these to have to come back and paint another set. But that said, I do really like them. So just doing a little undercoating at the moment.
Yeah, I need to get started.
So, do you have did you pick up the Relic Knights minis for SDE?
I did not, but I have the core set for Relic Knights, or for Super Dungeon Explorer. So I need to get that painted.
Okay, that's cool. All right, so we're gonna let that dry for a minute. I'm gonna come in and do some Azure. So what are you doing for the base there on Karov?
So I already did the sand basically already, and I did that last night.
Okay.
Now I'm just gonna do a little turf, some fine turf, just to add a little.
So he's gonna be floating over that.
Yeah.
Cool.
I was debating on putting like some kind of. I was gonna do some kind of yard piece along here, like a graveyard fence. Because I was gonna, you know how I did the Harbor Knight, it's gonna be kind of, he's all fancy like, so. I was gonna try to keep a graveyard theme with him, so I was gonna put him sort of on a piece, but then it was gonna be too much work, and I just figured, never mind, I'll do something different. So.
Okay, that's cool.
After he took too long for me to even wanting to finish, I just figured I'll just stick with this for now.
Hmm.
It's just
Yeah,
a
and you
bit.
can.
I can fix it later if I want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the basing on your Harbonath is pretty insane.
Yeah, I still can't fit him in anything to even transport him. So
Okay. I wonder what color hat should do like some sort of a brownish color for the hat for one shot here. If I can find. Whoa. I know what color I want, I just don't remember the name of it.
I have a hard time where like with mixing colors. Like I'll forget which colors I mix something with.
Yeah. Here we go. This is what I wanted. So green-brown, what I wanted the hat to be. Yeah, mixing colors is tough. One of the issues I had was when I'm painting Infinity is I got all this stuff piecemeal, and I changed color schemes on both of my armies
Yeah,
like twice. So they don't all exactly match, and it's annoying. They're little shade. They're different versions of the yellow that I paint, depending on when I was painting the sets.
yeah.
But
Especially with yellow, I feel like yellow's one of the worst.
yeah, because yellow is really variable. You can, with the number of layers you put down, and I have a lot of different yellows, so I always forget what progression I took. I have like kind of a what I consider to be a clean yellow and a dirty yellow.
Yeah,
And I always forget. So some of those pano that I have are from the clean yellow. Some of them are from like an orange, and some of them are a very dirty yellow that was applied over a black undercoat. So.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here you go. Finished now. So that's the base.
Okay, a little flocking there on the base.
Yep. I'm probably gonna pick up a pack of like the little stick-on weed-looking things from Paradise too. I can just stick them on there and it'll look a little better, I think. So
Yeah, for sure. It's cool. All right. Okay, so there's that brown. I'm gonna put a wood color on the stock of One Shot's gun. If you guys are just tuning in, this is not a repeat. Yes, I did paint some of these miniatures before, but this is a different set, and I'm tweaking my color schemes a bit on this set. But yeah, anyway, welcome to Play It Painted Live. Let us know what you're painting, what you should be painting, and if you want to send us any messages or any questions, you can do that on YouTube, Google+, or at Play It Painted on Twitter. I think I'm getting that little spiel there down a little bit better each time.
that's always a plus. Knowing what you're gonna say before you say it's always a good thing.
I'm still trying the Twitter approach to see if people start replying on Twitter. I had a few. It's slow going. I think more people are used to commenting either in Google Plus or in YouTube. We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's how. So I remember telling you that when I got Sebastian, he didn't come with arms or a head. So basically, when I was playing Warhammer Fantasy, I just had a bunch of extra leftover bits, and I took a sword, a head, and an arm. And
Nice.
there's Sebastian Cross.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
I forgot.
hopefully I can clean him up decently.
Nice. Somebody was, I forget who it was. I want to say it was Gareth, but I could be wrong. Somebody was telling me that they wanted a Sebastian Cross proxy because they didn't like not Sebastian Cross, Francis Mallory. They wanted a Francis Mallory proxy because they didn't care for the Francis Mallory miniature.
Yeah.
And I said, well, according to Endless Hunger, you can use any Ninja Division miniature as long as you can clearly tell what it is. And I said, well, why not some Anima Tactics miniatures? Because a lot of the Empire range looks like Shattered Sword, so it wouldn't be that big of a jump. And so we looked at some Shattered Sword, and for sure looked like it was a pretty good match for, a lot of the Shattered Sword faction.
Well, that's a good thing then.
hmm So I think he was looking at Yuri Olson, which is a much cooler, and much younger looking paladin type, but has the sword off to the side and has the cape flowing, and so a very similar miniature. But he's just younger, and because it's a cipher metal, it's a very clear, very high quality sculpt. So.
Oh yeah.
All right, so here's that. Okay,
Well,
so
I'm
I'm gonna let
excited
that
for the
dry.
new Corsair model to come out.
What's that?
I'm ready for the new Corsair. I forget his name to come out.
Yeah, that was on the Soda Pop thing today.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Okay, well, we can talk a little bit about what I did last weekend,
Definitely.
which was Strategicon Orcon. And this is the first convention of the year for me. This year I did not do HRM Steampunk Symposium, which is in January. That's on the Queen Mary. Did not do that one this year. Trying to cut down some more on what conventions I'm doing, and even the conventions I work, cutting down the number of days that I work those conventions. Again, this is all because of the new child and possibly beyond that. So, but yeah. Anyway, Strategicon Orcon is it's part of Strategicon, and Strategicon is an Los Angeles-based convention. It's a pretty small convention, small local convention. It's got that local convention feel to it. Everybody, not everybody, but most people there know each other, or we all game together, and so there are three Strategicons held every year, and the first one is Orcon, and they all occur on 3-day weekend. So Orcon occurs on President's Day weekend. Then we're going to have in May, we'll have GameX that happens during Memorial Day weekend, and then finally we have Gateway, which happens in the fall, and that is during Labor Day weekend. So Orcon was supposed to be the miniatures con between the three, but as time has kind of progressed, they're not really, the individual cons aren't really known for one thing anymore, because there's good attendance at all three. So anyway, I only had one day at Orcon this year, which was okay, and I didn't do a whole lot. I just did some Relic Knights demos during the day and hung out with a few people there. Got some games in between the demos. So overall, it was a good time. And the good news, though, is that I was able to kind of refine my demo a bit. So I always kind of look at that first con as kind of some R&D in terms of how am I going to refine my demo for the next convention, and what are some takeaways I've got from this convention. So yeah, that was mission accomplished. I was able to get at the Relic Knights demo the way I want it to be, which would be which could be completed as quickly as 30 minutes, but doesn't have to be. And then also working out probably the most difficult part of the demo is trying to figure out what types of scenarios a new player could play. Because when we started first running demos demos of Relic Knights, one of the very first things that struck out to me, and Corey, let me know if this is the case for you too.
Yeah.
But one of the
Yeah.
things that stuck out for me was the fact that as soon as you start teaching somebody how to play, um, they, uh, they will immediately go for combat, and they won't spend very much time at all trying to achieve the victory condition. They come out of the gate swinging, and hey, it's a skirmish game. I need to kill things, and that's not necessarily the best way to really learn the game. In fact, you probably want to be spending and I tell them this at the onset, spend your time on the scenario. Don't just try to wipe somebody out. We may be here for a while if you do that. But inevitably, that's what people do. They and I understand why. They want to see the combat mechanics in action, because to miniature wargamers, that's the most important part. It's making sure the combat feels fair when they're playing a demo. But for Relic Knights, that's just not the best idea, because it doesn't really get you into the game. Because the Relic Knights combat system, while I think is a really good combat system, is, as a standalone game, probably isn't as exciting as a lot of the other more combat-focused miniature games out there. So, but anyway, so trying to figure out what scenarios do you give the players, and how do you expect them to achieve those in a reasonable amount of time? That's one of the things that I targeted, and one of the things I wanted to walk away from this con with, and I feel like I've got my answer, and I'm pretty happy with it. So yeah, that. What else happened at that con? Well, did a little shopping afterwards, which was cool. Ran into Gabe from Andia Laser Cutting. He was at the con. He's I think looking to have a little bit more of a convention presence this year, which is really exciting, because I love seeing Gabe at the cons. And we did some shopping. I picked up a product from a small company called Arknight, which are these reversible dungeon tiles, and I thought those were fantastic. Yeah, so that's really all that happened at OrcCon, because again, I was only there for a day, but very productive day. I felt that the demos themselves went very well. Ran into 4 or 5 people that own or play Relic Knights currently that I hadn't known before, and that's another cool benefit to go into these local cons, is you can run into some other folks that might already be playing the game that you're trying to promote, and trying to network with them. So we'll see how that works out. Seemed like I know at least two of them were out of Game Empire Pasadena, and there were another 2 that were out of the Monstore. So hopefully we can get an event going at the Monstore to meet up with some more folks. So Corey, that's what I did. Did you have anything exciting to report for the weekend or anything like that?
This past weekend I didn't do too much.
Okay.
Did a little bit of painting, and been trying to stay motivated to get this painting stuff done. So I did my entire Shattered Sword starter set this past week and past weekend. I started playing Netrunner. That was fun.
Okay.
We did that Monday at one of my friend's house. We played basically like a little 8-man tournament between all of us at his house. So that was cool. And other than that, nothing too fancy other than putting in some orders for Kingdom Con. So
cool. Okay. So yeah, the next convention. Oh wait, here's Kevin. Hey guys, so how are you liking Infinity? I'm working on a new Dreadball team. What's up, Kevin? Infinity. Do you want to
Yeah,
go first,
Infinity.
Corey, or do you want me to go?
Okay, yeah, I don't mind. So what we've played, I think you and I have played maybe 2 games together so far.
Yeah.
So I think Infinity is fun, but I think we've pretty much discovered the fact that we played 2 games of Infinity in the time it took. We probably could have played 3 or 4 games of Heroic Knights,
Yeah.
and that's fine. Like I understand that point. Like it's a bit longer of a game. There's more stuff going on, but I have horrible dice rolling skills, as we found out. So I think it's a fun game. I enjoy it, and I plan to stay some more to learn a little more about the whole hacking system, since my guys are supposed to be really good at it. Um, but so far, it's not too bad. I think we need to get a little bit more involved as far as like how it works, but I don't mind sticking with it for a little bit longer just to see if it's something that I want to continue with. But
Hmm.
I mean, the games we played has been pretty fun. I mean, we haven't really gone too crazy with it, other than the fact that you would jump behind me and kill everybody, and I'm like,
Yeah,
what is
that,
going on
which
here?
was pretty unusual.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, this guy didn't land, and he didn't go in front of you, so he's behind you, and he's going to shoot you, you, and you, and you can't stop me.
That's pretty much how that went down too.
Yeah. I'll have this guy turn around. Oh, but you didn't. You missed him. You missed your shot. Oh, and then this guy will shoot. Oh, and he missed too. So I'll spend
Mhm.
4 actions to try to get to you
Yeah,
and shoot you, and I will still
my
miss.
my drop troop was within the shooting range of like 4 of your guys, and like everybody missed,
Yeah.
which was pretty pretty terrible dice rolling skills there
It's like,
from
okay, look,
Corey.
you go, okay, look, I shot your sniper. He's down. Okay, I'll run my medic over there. I revive him. Guess what? You shot my sniper the next round, and he's dead now.
Yeah, yeah, that was interesting.
I'm sure once
Um,
we get more involved,
yeah,
it'll be more in-depth games, but so far, I mean, it isn't too bad.
hmm yeah, I agree. I don't know. Infinity, it for me is I really enjoy the painting and collecting part of it. That's my
Yeah,
favorite part of the game. I could, I'll be honest here, I could give or take, or I could take or leave the actual game itself. And it's a fun enough game. If you're playing with people who are fun and you enjoy gaming with them, you'll enjoy Infinity. And I think most Infinity is popular for good reason. It has a lot of the tactical firefight mechanics that wargamers really like, and it can be a very exciting game, like Corey was explaining. Um, I will just tell you why I give Infinity like a B minus C plus as opposed to a better grade. And I don't mean to knock the game. It just doesn't click with what I prefer, what I enjoy in miniature skirmish games these days. So, and I think Corey and I were talking about this the other day when we were gaming. Was a lot of skirmish games these days kind of follow a very similar format when you break them down. It's you've got an attacker with a stat, a defender with a stat. You line things up, you add your modifiers in, and then you roll some random number generator, either dice or flipping cards or whatever, and then that tells you damage, and then you remove models. That's the base. That's the combat basics of most miniature games out today, and it's the reason why I put Relic Knights above um, all these other games is because Relic Knights is not that. So that's what I really like. And when you stack up something like Relic Knights that really appeals to me, as opposed to Infinity, which is a good game in its own right, but it's along the lines of a more standard combat game. Infinity for me is just going to be kind of a like take or leave situation. It's not. It doesn't really not that exciting for me. Some of the things I don't like about Infinity are some of the complaints that I have with the more popular war games out there. List building being a big part of that. Um, heavy emphasis on just min-maxing and the heavy emphasis on just is just sort of okay. You know, I like that we play games like Eldorado, which are brutal as hell, and you can and that game is a lot of it's focused on removing models, but the scenario system for that game is really where it's at. It's a combat game, but you got to get your scenario or else. Um, and that I should also make the caveat here that we really, other than some of the starter scenarios, we really haven't done more of the uh, in-depth scenarios from the game, and that's where I think that's where you were going, Corey. It was,
Yeah.
we'd probably enjoy it a bit more if we got into, more aspects of the game, like hacking, like the scenarios and that kind of stuff. And I think we would like the game a little bit more. I just
Yeah.
don't see. For me, I don't see it ever surpassing, or even really coming to the same level as Relic Knights does for me.
Yeah.
Eh,
Me neither. And
what were
I
you
know,
saying
and then
about
we
Relic
discussed
Knights?
that too. We were
Yeah.
discussing the fact that we have no control over what's going on in the game.
Hmm.
You really have no control of what's going to happen in the game, whereas in Relic Knights, you have control of the entire game.
Yeah. I mean,
Like I know
obviously.
what I know what you're most likely going to do. You know most likely know what I'm going to do, and
Hmm.
it's depending upon do I know if you have the cards to do it or not. But like I know like okay, I'm going to go here and shoot you because I can do it. Whether you can stop me or not is different, but at least I know when I get to where I'm going is that I'm going to be able to do what I want to do. And it's completely different from other games because most games it's like, oh, I rolled and I missed. Oh, I rolled, I missed. Oh, I rolled, I missed. Because
Hmm.
that's my big problem with like a lot of games is like, I mean, I can roll dice for nothing like at all. I always seem to get, I either seem to shoot low when I'm rolling high or roll high when looking for low. So for me,
Uh-huh.
Black Knight is like either if I can't do it, like I know I can't do it. It's not
Yeah.
because it's not because the die told me to. It's because I didn't have the cards in my hand to do it. I mean,
Right.
that's kind of a disappointment sometimes too, but at the same time, it's like at least I know, at least I can change my plan a little bit if I know I can't pay for something.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Um, and yeah, I hear what you're getting at. I mean, the what you were saying before was you can affect your odds in most of these games, but they're still just your odds. There's still,
Yeah.
and it's a double-edged sword. There's still the chance that that fluke thing is going to happen, and sometimes it's exciting to have that uncertainty lingering around. But after a while, and in a lot of circumstances, it doesn't provide the excitement that you would hope it does. So, for example, in Infinity, and my joke with Infinity is I usually roll like shit, but as long as I'm making bad decisions, I get rewarded for it. And Kevin, you might understand this from Blood Bowl too. Is it's all about mitigating your odds and whatnot. But in Infinity, um, I make a bad decision, and let's say after modifiers, I end up with something completely ridiculous. Like I need a 3 to hit, right? 3 or lower on a d20. And my opponent can do everything right, and he needs a 17 to hit, right? And so we roll dice. He hits a 20. I get a 3, and he's just dead. There's always that 5% chance that happens. That I just roll the stupid number that I need, and you're just out of there. And you made great decisions. I made stupid decisions, and I got rewarded for them. Now I'm not totally against that because again we play Blood Bowl. And Blood Bowl, that's the exciting part about Blood Bowl is that the stupid stuff can and will happen. But in a game like Infinity, where people spend so much time, and it's not just Infinity. I would say 40K, War Hordes. A lot of the more common war games. People spend a lot of time on their lists. People spend a lot of time, trying to tweak every last thing to work out just so. And that little bit of that little bit of fate hops in there and just crushes their dreams. That's part of miniature wargaming, and a lot of people accept it as that. But Relic Knights gives you something different. Relic Knights, it fluke stuff might happen, but you have so much more ways to control when and where stuff like that might happen. That I don't know. It's just more comfortable. I feel like I'm working the operating system of a of a miniatures game, as opposed to just being stuck in whatever user interface they leave me with. If that makes any sense to you at all. I feel like I just have so much more control with regards to the core mechanics of the game. And attacks are, you have to pay for them. You have to, how many of your color is floating around in the deck, and you have to account for that. You have to manage your resource, as opposed to mitigating flat modifiers on a die. You have to manage your resource and make sure that you have cards available for what's really important to you. And I really like that about the game. So anyway, that was a pretty long-winded answer, but and I don't mean to knock Infinity. I mean, I enjoy Infinity. I know Corey enjoys Infinity. We're going to keep playing the game. Today I just want to point out that I don't feel that, to me, it's ever going to stack up with Relic Knights. But it'll be a fun game in its own right, and I'll enjoy it for that. So, anything else we need to add?
I mean, I completely agree with what you said. And for me, I'm not. I don't like to play a lot of games that are all involving lists, because it seems like everyone's wearing the same exact thing for a list. And I mean, for right now, like, I understand, like, Relic Knights is so small and there's so few models for it. Well, not so few, but there's only so options you have that you're bound to run into people that are running the same thing. But for the most part, everyone has a completely different playstyle when it comes to this game. Like, it's weird. Like, you understand what the faction's going to be able to do, but for the most part, like, most people, I've never seen anyone run the Corsair list that I do. Everyone seems to love the chef, and I'm over here like, no, I hate that guy. I want to run my my Squall with two Corsair units now. Like, I'm playing the other Corsair unit just because they're basically trains on the table. So, and I feel like, it's not all about the list like this. That's how do you want to play this? It's how you play, basically, not, well, I need to take this guy and this guy and this guy because these are two of my bruisers, and I need to take this, this, and this because they're just the best guys in the game.
Right. Well, the thing about stats in Relic Knights is stats are not directly related to success. They're not so directly, and I'll explain this with I'll explain this sadly using Infinity. Again, not trying to bash Infinity, but it's just what's on our minds right now, so I'll use this as comparison. Okay, so in Relic Knights, well, actually I'll start with Infinity because that's the easier to understand system. In Infinity, your models have a ballistic skill, right? Just like they do in 40K, just like they do in like Rat in Warmahordes. And this is a stat. This is an additive stat. In other words, in Infinity, you have a BS of 14. You'll always be better than a BS of 12, given the same modifiers, the same weapons, in the same situation. And you will always have that BS 14. The entire game, you'll have BS 14. I'm not talking about cover or modifiers or anything like that. I'm just saying that stat you will continue to use. It will always be 14. And no matter what situation you're in, it will always be 14. It doesn't work that way in Relic Knights. Relic Knights, the stat is really just telling you how many cards you draw. And that is not the same. It is not the same output every time. And in fact, when you want to look at balancing models in Relic Knights, you don't really look at the stats so much as you look at the abilities of that model.
Yeah.
Because you might have a crazy good ability on the model, but maybe that ability costs you in terms of the amount of Esper that it requires, or in some cases, it may require an off-suit or off-color card that you actually specifically have to tailor for. That is amazing. I love that about Relic Knights because you're not BS 14 all the time. You could be BS 17 depending on the ability, but maybe that costs you just to translate it to infinity. But that would be like you could go to BS 17, right? But that'll cost you 4 of your orders. You know, you could go, or you could just be firing at BS 7 all the time, and that will only cost you half an order. So that's what that would be the effect of the same type of statistic approach if they did that in Infinity. They did that with Relic Knights. And if they did that in Infinity, imagine the kind of control you'd have over some of these ridiculous die rolls. You would still face what Corey faces, though. Could still be completely horrible at rolling, and the other guy's critting you all the time, and you're just missing everything.
You're rolling 20
you still have
every
that.
time.
Yeah. So, but even that would still be, in my opinion, that's still a little bit better than just, okay, I'm BS 14 and I'm always BS 14. And the thing is, the guys that really, really do list crafting, they take comfort in stuff like that, where I find it kind of uninteresting. They take comfort in that. I know that this model is BS 14. It will always be BS 14. Therefore, I can compare it to its base model cost, and I can tell you how many I can squeeze in my army list and whether or not it's efficient, right? You can't even approach that kind of mentality in Relic Knights. It's just not going to work. It's a completely different system, and that's what I love about it. So anyway, sorry to get all preachy, but as it turns out, I've been writing a bit about what I really like about Relic Knights, and so I've got this pretty dialed in at this point. What I really like.
Basically, you basically listened to the entire article. Congratulations.
Yeah. I saved you 5,000 words worth of reading right there. Actually, sadly, that's only 1 or 2 sections of 12.
Oh boy.
That's how obsessed I got. Yeah, I went a little overboard. I got obsessed. I wrote just a ton of shit about what I love about Relic Knights and why it's such a different game. And granted, I know different isn't always better. And people tell me that all the time. Oh, different isn't always better. Different isn't always better. But when you are specifically looking for different, then yes, it is better.
Yeah.
And I'll admit that that's what I'm looking for. I've played lots of war games over the years, and don't get me wrong, I still love the standard combat war game, but for a system that I really want to dig my teeth into, I want something that's going to be, off the beaten path. I want to play something that's going to challenge, the typical war game norms. Wow, that sounds so shitty and smug. I hate that, but you know what I mean. So anyway, I'm gonna load some comments here. Once again, if you're just tuning in, welcome to Play It Painting Live. Let us know what you're painting or what you should be painting or anything like that. Corey and I are just talking shit and doing some more painting here. So
talking bad stuff about Infinity now. What's up?
But the one of the real benefits to Infinity, though, I'd have to say, is right now it's way easier to find to walk into a store that we might not have been actively promoting in and find somebody who's interested in Infinity. The game has been out long enough and has enough recognition that you could reasonably get a veteran wargamer excited about it. And they know what they're getting into for the most part. They're like, oh, Infinity, that's the shooting ARO shoot back game. It has a very firm identity in the wargaming community, and so it's pretty easy to find people to play Infinity. In fact, you don't even really need to. I mean, with Relic Knights and all the new stuff that Ninja comes out with, Corey and I end up having to do a lot of promoting, and that's normal for all brand new games. Whereas Infinity, it's already out, Everybody kind of knows about it. It's not a big deal. You can get people together and starting to play. Another advantage of Infinity right now is what Corey just hinted at a little earlier, in that, you know, they have a huge model range because they've been around. Unfortunately for Relic Knights, we're in kind of a slow pattern right now, because everything that's on the shelf, if you back the Kickstarter, you probably already have, and you don't really need. And if it's one thing that gamers love, is gamers love giving people their money. And right now, us veteran Relic Knights guys don't have very many reasons to give our LGS money for this game. For Infinity, very easy to give them money because there's still lots of stuff on the shelf, and you can collect lots and lots of stuff. I've been buying way more Infinity than I care to admit, and I love to paint it. I doubt I'd ever play it all. I'm probably going to just turn around and start selling some of it. But you know, we're still going to play, but I'm just saying I have more than I want to play. And I actually hit that point with Relic Knights as well. That's why I moved. I donated my No Empire, and I sold my my Doctrine army, which I immediately regretted because I miss them, but I don't miss them enough to rebuy them. Pretty happy with my my Cersei and my Shattered Sword, and I have Black Diamond in there mostly for demos. So, anyway.
At some point, I'm telling you, it's a great investment.
What's that?
The Corsairs?
Oh, yeah. Well, I want to paint a Calico Kate. I mean, I love Calico. Look at her. She's awesome. I gotta get one. So, yep. So great question. Thanks, Kevin, for that question about Infinity. Yes, we should play it, Kevin. Next time we get together, let's play some Infinity. I think it's one of those games. It's a good combat game. You'll enjoy it for that. I don't know if it'll knock your socks off. I mean, frankly, again, the main benefit for me is I can play Filipinos. You know, I've never been able to say that in a war game to date, and now I can. So I'm excited about that. All right. So anyway, once again, welcome to Play It Painted Live. If you are just tuning in, let us know what you're painting, what you should be painting. Tonight's topic, which we're about to get into, we're calling Staying Motivated. So let me take a little sip of drink here, and then I'll open up with my spiel, and then we'll kind of open it up to discussion. How's that sound?
Sounds wonderful.
Sounds good, right? Okay. I'm going to get a little sip of this drink here. Okay, good. All right. Okay. So I got to frame this where, as using myself as the example here. And I understand that my example might be a bit different than some of you guys that are watching or will be watching. But anyway, so right now, I am painting this Relic Knights SDE set, right? And if you guys have been watching the show in the past, you know that I've already painted these miniatures. And so these miniatures are not part of a commission. They were actually replacements from a commission, and I'm replacing them into my personal set. But I've already painted them already. They don't have a priority with me because I'm playing mostly Relic Knights. They will see a priority once convention season starts. But for the most part, and I think I called this out at one point, for the most part, I'm just painting up these odds and ends, these projects that have been sitting around with low priority, and they've been waiting behind regular painting commissions and all of that stuff. And so these aren't necessarily high motivation pieces for me. As beautiful as they are, I've already painted them. They're, whatever. As soon as they're done, I'm going to put them in my box of SDE stuff, and they won't really see much daylight until, say, WonderCon. Um, and I've got a lot of those. A lot of those just sit around projects. You paint them up, and there you go. The question for tonight, though, is like, how do you keep going with this kind of stuff, especially in light of of the last, I'll say, 3 months? Because if you go back to December on this channel and you're watching all those almost daily updates, I think you can go back and count the amount of models that we put out. I think, let's see, it was a core set of SDE plus Caverns of Roxor plus Robotech plus Arena Rex plus Infinity, right? So conservatively speaking, that's about 150 to 200 miniatures in the space of 3 months. And that's a crazy high output. And so how do you keep up? How am I painting tonight after painting all that stuff? I should be sick of painting. And to be honest with you, I'm low energy right now. I'm not going particularly fast on these minis, but I'm still going. For you, the situation may be different, right? You may have lots and lots of stuff at home that you're looking at, and you are tempted to collect more and more, and you're going to put it in that pile. You're going to just keep putting it in the pile, and you keep telling yourself, well, I'm going to get around to painting that stuff. I'm going to get around to painting it, and a lot of times you do, but a lot of times you don't. And I guess our topic tonight is, what are some of the things that we do to just kind of keep ourselves in this grind? And I hate to call it a grind, because this is what I enjoy. It's fun. Maybe that's part of the answer. But what are some of the things that we do to keep us motivated to continue to paint? So that's the topic for tonight. Feel free to chime in with things that work for you, or maybe just chime in with things that you find are actually detrimental to staying in painting, because that's a big part of understanding this as well. What are some things that happen that kind of present giant roadblocks to us painting and meeting our painting goals? So off the bat, Corey, do you have any thoughts, initial thoughts on the topic?
Yeah, I think it's a great topic, to be honest with you, as far as like getting painting done, because I like to have all these goals and dreams of having all of my models painted at some point in my life, but
Mm-hmm.
I just look at all the stuff I have, and it's just so overwhelming. Like, I have and I have a lot of Lord of the Rings models. Like, I have over a good 100 models, like a couple 200, 300 models of Lord of the Rings sitting on my bookshelf, just staring at me, and they're unprimed and everything. And
Mm-hmm.
then then I get into another game, and I've got all these models that are waiting to get painted. And then I've got these other games, and they're all this wants, I need to paint this, I need to paint this. So it just stacks on, and the rate that I buy games is crazy.
Yeah,
So
Kickstarter didn't help that either, right?
no, Kickstarter's like my greatest enemy, but I love it so much. Um,
Okay.
it's always just in my face, take my money, take my money. So I do, and um, so for me, I want to say that the volunteering really kind of helps me out more than anything. And
Okay.
it's not the fact that I'm trying to get the game out there. I am, I want this game to get out more to more people, and people understand it, and hopefully enjoy it as much as I do. But for me, it's kind of I feel so bad when I walk up to even a tournament or something, where you're in a
Mm-hmm.
tournament, and I showed up with one unpainted model, and I'm the guy that's supposed to be helping push this game out, and I've got one unpainted model, and that thing stares at me the entire time I'm playing, and it's just you are such a horrible game presser. You can't push this game with unpainted models. What's wrong with you? So for me,
I don't know that everyone takes quite that hard a stance on it, but I appreciate it.
I do. I feel like if I'm supposed to be pushing this game out, I feel like everything I do should not be perfect, but I should understand all the rules. I mean, it's getting away from painting, but I should have
Hmm.
everything painted and ready, and like, oh, I forgot the cards. But for me, painting, it's like I'm not the greatest. I'm not a huge fan of painting, but I know it needs to get
Hmm.
done because if I feel like if I want to be a good game pusher, I need to have stuff painted for people to use and be like, oh, like that's a really cool paint job. Um,
So, would it be safe to say that you rely on a healthy amount of stress and obligation to keep you motivated?
yeah, it's kind of stressful, like looking at unpainted models, right? To be honest with you, and
Okay.
like I've never cared at all, like never cared to have anything unpainted. Um, until like recently, like within the past year, I've also been like, oh my gosh, why is everything unpainted? What is wrong with me?
Hmm.
But yeah, like I still have that moments where I'm like, I can wait until tomorrow. And then I look at the table of models that need to get painted, and I'm like, I don't have until tomorrow. Like I need to get this stuff done. Um,
Okay.
I think the way to kind of counter that is give yourselves like, well, okay, so I guess we'll skip that for later. We can go that to later on as far as how you overcome that stuff. But
Yeah,
what
but
about
that's
you?
fine. If you want to throw one out now, that's fine.
Yeah, okay, so I'll tell you now. So I guess for me, I'm huge on like the goals. Um, I'm very
Yeah.
goal oriented. Um, so and I like the whole like the reward system as far as is getting stuff done goes. So for me, I guess like I got that entire starter set done for the Shattered Sword, and I
Yeah.
got it done in maybe 2 nights. And after that, I was like, okay, you know what? Let me get this starter set done. I'll take a break for maybe a night, and I won't paint something just to kind of relax. Um,
Hmm.
and then, okay, cool. Maybe I'll start something tonight, and then, um, like if it's Tuesday night, I'll like, okay, I'll finish a model, maybe a half, and I'll finish the other half on the show. That way, it gives me something to work on. Um, so for me,
Yeah, I do that too.
yeah, it's like, so I'm not just showing up with nothing done. I just at least have something to kind of like finish. Um,
Hmm.
So I think for me personally, I like to have the whole goal set. Like so for me, my goal is to have all my Relic Knight stuff done by the time that Kingdom Con comes around.
Yeah.
So that way, I have everything ready, and I want everything to be based. I want them all to be magnetized, and I want to have all my stuff ready to go, just to show everyone like, yeah, this is what the game is. Here's all the models. So
Okay.
I feel
Cool.
like I'm a successful game pusher if I have all of my stuff painted and it's ready to be shown, basically. Whereas I just
Hmm.
show up and I go, oh yeah, I've got Shattered Sword, and you really want to learn how to play with those models because that's what you want to buy, but I didn't bring them because they're unpainted.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
now I won't show up with anything that's unpainted anymore, unless it's like, like someone that like I know and they don't really care that much, or like if it's like you and me playing a game, like I'll play with something unpainted because we both know how to play, and I'm not trying to teach you this game or anything like that.
Sure. Okay. That's cool.
But what about
Yeah,
yourself? How do you stay
one
going?
of the things that stuck out what you said over the summer when you were on one of the shows in the summer when we were talking about Saga, and I distinctly remember you thanked Phil Howard,
Yes.
who ran Saugus. You thanked him for putting in a painting requirement.
Yep.
So,
I
sorry,
I'm
go
not
ahead.
one to say that things need to be painted for like stuff like that, but I really wanted to play Saga, and I knew that the only way I was going to get into playing this game was with painted stuff. I was going to paint it because I wanted to play. So,
Hmm.
like, for me, that's great. If someone's like, hey, sorry if you don't have stuff painted, like, we'll lend you stuff. But, um, like, I'm just a big fan of like, hey, there's a tournament. It needs to be painted. If it's not painted, like, we might have stuff for you to play with, but if you want to use your own stuff, it needs to be, like, ready to go. And I sat
Hmm.
down every night and I painted models. Granted,
Yeah,
they didn't want the greatest things in the world, but I literally sat down every night and painted. That way I could play. And I think
that's
that's
cool.
that's another great thing that I like as far as him doing that. It kind of made me paint.
Yeah, that is kind of cool. I don't know that a lot of people look at it that way, but that is one of the ways. initially how I looked at painting was, it was just such a it just felt compulsory to me. Like, why would I'm playing miniature games for the aesthetic, so it doesn't make sense to me personally not to paint something before I put it down, because that's for me to put down an unpainted miniature. I feel like the experience is not as fun as I can make it. So
Yeah.
I'm willing to wait to put something down until it's painted. But I'm willing to wait, but I'm also still, still a gamer, still impatient. So I make it a point to try to finish models in a timely manner so that I can enjoy them, so that I can paint them. So, but yeah, I like the thing that stuck out in my head was that, you felt like you had a goal. Somebody either inspired you to a goal or you had your own goal, and you keep a healthy amount of pressure on yourself. A healthy amount, don't, hopefully nobody's harming themselves from not painting. I don't think gamers are. I think a lot of gamers are kind of the other side of it, where it's, yeah, I'll get to it when I get to it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you do really enjoy having painted miniatures, or you do want to learn how to paint, then yeah, it's just like, it's like going to the gym. You have to motivate yourself to do it, and then when you get to the gym, you're fine, right? When you come home, you feel a little bit better, even if you're sore or whatever. This talking to me, I'm completely out of shape, by the way. But yeah, but to me, that's what I liken it to. Painting is like, you can treat it like that. You can give yourself a healthy amount of encouragement, and most of the time anyway, you should feel pretty better after you do it. I know when I'm finished with a project, regardless of whether or not I'm 100% satisfied with the job, and believe me, most of the time, people aren't 100% satisfied with their work. That's been my experience with painting. Even my idols, the people I absolutely idolize in painting, when I look at their stuff, and it makes me just feel horrible about my entire existence. But then they'll look at that and go, yeah, but I didn't do a good job here, and I just wasn't happy with this, and it was so frustrating, or whatever. And you realize that most people that paint are just horrible critics of themselves, and that's somewhat normal. So one of the things that a lot of people tell me is like, oh, I start painting, and then because it's not perfect, or because it's not exactly what I was looking for, I'll quit, because it just never got there. I'm like, okay, I understand that mentality. I've been there before, personally, but believe me, if you can get around to finishing something, the satisfaction of finishing that thing is going to override your own doubt or dissatisfaction with how it turned out. And just getting those projects behind you, under your belt, is going to motivate you for the next one, right, Corey?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's one of the things that I've noticed about painting and trying to stay motivated to paint. One of the things that a lot of people talk about, and I think I'm gonna pick on you because you're on my show, but one of the things, but it's all in good fun. But yeah, one of the things that people talk about is they go by this mantra of, I'm not gonna buy anything new until the thing that I already have is painted. Now, does that work for yourself?
Not at all.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
And
I'm pretty guilty of this too.
You know how I work. I'll show up at the game store being like, I'm not spending any money. And then I'll end up buying like 4 or 5 models. And I'm like, well, these are going to get unpainted for the next 7 months.
And one of the things that you can pretend like your ability to paint and finish projects is the same timeline as Kickstarter, where you tell yourself, oh, the delivery date is going to be this, but then it's often 7 to 12 months after that when the thing actually delivers. So hey, if you score yourself against the Kickstarters themselves, you're probably doing pretty well.
Yeah, that's the
So,
way I struggle with it
um,
now. Well, I should have it done by the time this Kickstarter's done, and then it'll be like, oh, we're delaying our project another 6 months. Great, I've got plenty more time to finish my guys then.
I will tell you, Kickstarter scares the crap out of me. It does, because I am one of those people that tries to buy only what he can handle in terms of painting, paint that stuff, and then turn around and buy, and like I reward myself with buying more stuff. And I would say I'm okay at that. I'd say I'm a C plus student with regards to that particular practice. Sometimes I fail, um, but for the most part, I can keep up with what I want to play. I can keep miniatures for games that I want to play on the table and still manage a few commissions at the same time. Um, Kickstarter is going to throw a giant wrench in that for me though, because
Yeah.
I'm just not used to handling. Well, not since 40K anyways. I'm not used to handling those big bulk shipments of miniatures that you have to clean and assemble and paint. Um, Arena Rex showed up, and that wasn't a lot of miniatures. My Arena Rex order was something like 24, 25 miniatures, which for me that's not a lot. Um, but they're high quality resin miniatures. I had to get used to the line, so I had to paint a few, figure out my basing schemes, and then paint some more and paint the rest of the set. Um, but that scared me because I was like, wow, this was Arena Rex. This is one of the smaller ones. What's going to happen when my Forgotten King gets here? Forgotten King, I have the whole thing. I ordered the entire. I got the highest level pledge. Short of, hey, if you spend $1,000, then you just get to call yourself an actual ninja and throw stars at people. Like I backed it as high as I could go. And so when this stuff does show up at my door, that and say Wrath of Kings, that's another one that I'm still waiting on. It's stuck in the dock somewhere or something like that. Games like that, when they show up, that's a little scary for me. I'm not used to handling whole lines of miniatures. Now, when Relic Knights, when I got my Relic Knights stuff, that was a lot of stuff too, and I did a decent job parceling it out for myself and painting it according to a imaginary schedule. So I did okay there, but I'm still a little worried about the bulk buy. And a lot of miniature players will buy in bulk because it is cheaper. And this is an expensive hobby, so I don't blame them for that. But that's one of the drawbacks to trying to play all painted is when you buy in bulk, it can be very, very daunting. So I don't know. Do you have any thoughts there for like buying in bulk and how to handle
Yeah.
just large project work?
So, well, doing the whole ninja thing, I would do a huge order at once. And I send you a couple pictures of stuff when I get it in or something like that. And I'm like, look at all the stuff I've got now. I have the entire collection.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and for me, um, I really have like all this ambition of like, oh, it's gonna be painted and I'm gonna have it all ready to go. And then I look at it and I'm like, holy crap! Like I just ordered like 50 new models. This is gonna take me forever to get this done. So what I've started to do
Mm-hmm.
now, when I get new stuff, if I'm not planning on using it right away, I won't open the box.
Okay.
So, like, I wanted to get some more Lord of the Rings models, so I found on eBay someone was selling the Return of the Kings, basically the starter set, for like $30, and that came with like 48 models. So, I still have that in the box. I still have Dreadfleet in the box. I still have so actually I still have One Shot in a box. I didn't have her built yet because I wanted to get the stuff that like I need to get done, like all the starter sets, and then after that, like a couple individual models, and then the relics
Yeah.
themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was kind of getting like the core stuff done, and then working on like maybe a small, maybe like a unique, and then working on the relic. And then once that was
Okay.
done, I would move on to something like another unit, and then you do another unit for another faction. So that way, I'm getting each faction's getting something done. Hopefully, every couple of days until it's all done. And then once that's
Yeah.
done, everything that I have new, I will go ahead and I'll open up a new one, build it, clean it up, paint it, and then that way I'm kind of keep myself like honest of like, oh, I've got this model and I want to use it. Well, too bad.
Hmm.
I need to get this stuff done first. So
Yeah.
I
Keeping your priorities straight is a huge one.
yeah, and if it's not built, I'm not going to paint it, obviously.
Hmm.
So for me, it's kind of giving me that choice of if I really want it, I'm gonna have to get everything else done first.
Right.
Like, cause I want to use one shot at some point. Like, I really want to use one shot. However, I have all this other stuff I need to get done first.
Hmm.
So once that's done, I give myself like that. Okay, great. Now I'm done. I can work on one shot finally.
Yeah. That makes
And
sense.
I think that's like the easiest way to do it with painting. And granted, I've only really been painting for maybe about a year and a half, 2 years at the most. Um, and I think we discussed the reasons why I didn't really paint before when I was in the hobby. But it was kind of like, I need everything done, and then I just wouldn't care about it. So for me, it kind of gives me that like, oh, I really want this, but I'm not gonna use it because I need to get other stuff done first. So
Yeah. That makes sense. So, and yeah, and I have, I keep telling myself that there's some things that are low priority that
yeah,
just haven't even been touched yet. They're still in boxes. So for example, I have so much Saga stuff, I don't even care to admit it. But I bought in bulk. I bought when CQ had a sale and they were 60% off the those old Warlord boxes, and I just went nuts. And I was like, you know what? Who cares? Even if I get to a year later, so what?
yeah,
I know I'm going to be playing Saga. I know these are miniatures that I want, and I can always go and just put them together and paint them when I need to. They're still in a box. They're 5 feet from me right now, and they're not going to get touched for probably at least 2 to 3 months, depending on when these Kickstarters show up. Because when the Kickstarters show up, those are going to be priorities for me, especially Forgotten King, because of
yeah.
because of the fact that we are volunteers for Ninja. We're that stuff coming in is going to be a big priority for me.
And it's
So
convention season, so
convention season, right, right.
yeah, and for me, like I'm seeing like I want to get my Infinity stuff painted really bad. Like like last time I used your models because I didn't have anything done, so it's kind of like for me, it's like, oh my gosh, look at the way he did such a great paint job on these, and I'm over here with everything all white looking, and it just looks like crap. So for me, it's like I really want to get those done, like so I can start using them.
Mm-hmm.
But with my own models, like I don't mind using yours if you're willing to let me use them because they're painted and it looks way better when we take pictures, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So it just like I look at it and I go, okay, great, but I need to get this stuff done first. So in order for me to start moving on to my Infinity stuff, I need to achieve my goal of getting my Relic Knight stuff done before Kingdom Con comes around the corner.
Right, right. Yeah, and that's I think that's a great way to do it.
And
Cool.
it kind of goes like the same way when I was building tables. I think I built 2 gaming tables in a matter of like 2 months because
Mm-hmm.
I got I got the one lava table done when you said, hey, do you want to work WonderCon? I was like, heck yeah, I'll do that. So I went
Yeah.
right ahead and I started working on building a table. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, there's Kingdom Con. And you know what? I need to get another table done. So that way we had 2 tables going. And that deadline, it was like, when I was recording the video for me making it, like everything I was like, it's not gonna be done in time. It's not gonna be done in time. And I finished it like the day before Kingdom Con came. And I was like, all right, well at least I did it. Like when my goal was to be achieved. And it just felt so good
Yeah.
because everyone was like, oh my gosh, these tables, where'd you get these? And I'm like, well, I made them.
Yeah, that was a really big draw too
Yeah,
for Kingdom. You know, it was a people were really liked your tables, and so that was it was a good entry point into, hey, you want to try out this game, which is cool. And obviously, you know, for this con season, we want more of the same too. Um,
yeah, and then
so
I ran the
that's
whole
where
problem of
I.
like I've been telling you I want to make a
Mhm,
Relic Knights demo table, but at the same time I've got this other deadline of getting my models painted. So for me, it's like,
mhm,
crap, what do I do? But I've already set the goal
right.
of getting a painted first. So maybe the goal is I need to get this and a table done before Kingdom Con gets here, and that kind of really pushes me to get stuff done. Um,
Yeah,
or at
yeah.
least build more
That's
terrain because we're going to need way more terrain this year, obviously.
yeah, for sure. I mean, this is the first year that um, that that we really have relic nights during con season. This is where last year we didn't get relic nights till the very end of con season. This year,
Yeah.
this is the first full year that we're going to see relic nights in, you know, at our local con. So it is a big deal, and I'm excited to see, you know, how it's received, especially now with product on the shelf and
Yeah.
at least the start of a player base forming should be pretty good, I think. So for those of you just tuning in, welcome to Play It Paint and Live. Tonight's topic: staying motivated with painting, and we're painting here with Corey. Let us know what you're painting, what you should be painting, and if you have any comments, you can always leave them on YouTube, Google Plus, or you can tweet them to me at Play It Painted. So yeah, uh, yeah, it's exciting, but man, the when you think about the kind of work that goes into this stuff for miniature gaming, which, you know, volunteering for miniature gaming is not to be taken lightly. Okay, this isn't the same thing as, oh, I'm going to volunteer for gaming, which consists of buying one or more copies of the game and then knowing the rules and putting it out there. It's not the same thing. Miniature gaming, if you really want to present miniature gaming, volunteer for miniature gaming at these shows, you really got to bring it. You know, the way like Corey's
Yeah.
talking about. You got to have nicely painted miniatures. You got to have and you don't have to, but it really is, in my opinion, and I know you agree with me. It's just not You're just not doing it any justice if
Yeah.
you don't do some of this stuff.
You don't draw
So
people in without, for me, good basing and good painting. If
yeah,
if you don't have
and
that,
good
well,
terrain.
and good terrain. You got to have terrain that's phenomenal too. If
Hmm.
that's not there, then you're not going to get anyone to stop by.
I mean, clearly that's the part where where your skills in putting together tables is something that you bring that you know, I tend to not be as strong in, because I spend more of the time painting and getting that done, and a lot of my terrain is either like store bought or you know, I've made a few tables, but nothing really spectacular. Um, so yeah, it's awesome to be able to go in to these cons and have some cool display tables to show off.
And it's not even the fact that, I mean, people are like, what's this game? They're like, holy crap, what's this table? And then you tell them more about it, and they're like, oh, so what's this game that you use for it? And then that kind of, it's kind of like a drawing, kind of. Because,
The cool part about the table is it really it sets the scene. You know, last year we were pushing Eldorado, and you know, we want to convey the feeling for the players that, hey, these battles are taking place in hell. And so, you know, with you building the lava table and the village table, you know, that set the state that was great for putting people in the setting that the game is set in, and it's it's great to be able to discuss what's going on and actually have your terrain, your board, and your miniatures line up with what you're saying.
yeah. And, I mean, for me, that's really all about the, like, the demoing. I think once it gets into the fact of, like, all right, we're running, like, a 16 table tournament,
Hmm.
the terrain isn't that big anymore. Um, like the little cheap stuff that you made with the polystyrene where you just cut it all out and spray paint it real quick. I mean, that looks great just to play on. And it maybe took you all of one night to do it. And it's an easy way to just pump out terrain for tables. But, I mean, you might get
in that type of situation, you do have to, right, you do have to sacrifice some of your quality for quantity. But, you know, as long as it looks good enough, it looks fairly good enough, and it's going to function as, say, tournament terrain, then that's fine.
Yeah. But just for like the initial start is just you got to have something that draws everyone's attention to it, and that's where the whole, you know, the modeling along with the terrain and then the painting. If that's not really in line, you're not really going to get a lot of people to stop by and check it out.
Sure.
So that's how I stay motivated.
Yeah, no, it's good. These are what work for me, and I've heard lots of other things that people do to try to stay motivated, you know. But these are all pretty much fall in the same line, you know. You have a deadline because of a convention or a tournament or an obligation or a commission. So those all work, and then you have you know, prioritizing projects, rewarding yourself with being able to purchase more stuff. So those are stuff that gets that I've heard get thrown around quite a bit. Is there anything you think that you would recommend that maybe might be a little bit different than say what most people recommend doing for staying motivated?
That my way might be different than other people's, or
yeah. Do you have something you think that might be different than what we've been talking about so far as a motivation tool? Something that works for you that may not be the same as the common advice that we're throwing out here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, for me, all my models are out like on a table. Like everything I have is out on a table.
Okay.
So, I mean, for me, you know, I look at all of them and I'm like, holy crap, what's wrong with me? So that for me is a little of a motivation. So I guess if someone's trying to stay motivated, it's just kind of, you know, for me, I leave them out and I look at them every day. Once I go into my little gaming room, I look at all the stuff that's undone, like not finished or at all even touched.
Okay.
And I look at it and I go, okay, well, it needs to get done. So I mean, that might be some way for someone.
That is different because I've heard the opposite. I've heard people recommend the opposite, like hide stuff that you're not going to get to for a while. But you're saying you leave it all out because the big picture is motivating for you. That's a little different, and that's cool to hear that actually works too.
Yeah. Because for me, if it's like it's out of sight, I don't even worry about it. Like, oh, I still have those models that need to get painted. That's right. I forgot about those. Where it's me, it's like I'm working towards this goal of getting everything done, and if I can see my goals like slowly, it's like I feel like it's like paying off credit card debt a little bit at a time.
There you go.
You keep paying a little over the minimum that you're required to pay, and it's eventually going to go away. It's going to be gone.
Yeah.
It's going to take a while, but it's going to be gone. For me, painting is kind of the same way. I'm so in debt of unpainted stuff that if I can, in this case, check my credit card debt every day, it's like, you know, I need to work on this. I'll put a little more time, or I'll put a few more bucks into the account to pay it off a little bit faster. So for me, looking at the models, I'm like, holy crap, like I need to work on this stuff. It kind of works the same way for me.
Or it's like you know, when you're trying to lose weight, you know, if you're trying to lose weight, you weigh yourself. Like, you know, I've lost a little bit of weight recently, and you know, you weigh yourself in the morning and you check, hey, this is where I'm at, this is where I want to go with my weight loss, and you know, seeing that the 1 or 2 pounds drop off is motivation to continue to go, because whatever you're doing is working, and you want to keep doing that.
Yeah.
That's the guy. I'm still eating cookies right now. I don't care, but you know,
Okay.
I lost a few, so cookies. Why not?
Well, that's kind of your goal right there, right? You wanted to lose, you want to lose 10 pounds in a month. Your goal to lose the 10 pounds. Maybe you have yourself a couple cookies.
Yeah, have a
Just to
cookie.
keep you sane and keep going, like, you know. But yeah, for me, like I have one little 2x4 table, and then I have two or three, I have like two bookshelves in my other gaming room. And every time I go
Hmm.
walk in there to go either to look at a game or pull something out of the closet that I have in there or whatever, I look at these models and I'm like, oh man. And then I'm kind of like, well, I need to get rid of these models. I need to get them painted. So it's just like I pick them up and I'll start painting. Um,
Hmm.
so for me, that means if I can see what I need to work on, for me it's a little bit easier because then I can just go, okay, yeah, I need to start working on these right here. Um,
Okay.
but then I have an entire second bedroom dedicated to just gaming stuff. So I mean, if you're,
That's
if
pretty
you're in a
hard.
small apartment or something like that, it's kind of hard to have all that stuff out.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. So, do you have when you start getting painted for the night or the day or whatever, do you have a routine that you follow? Are there certain things that you do every time you sit down to paint, and does that help you? Um, with the whole maybe not necessarily stay motivated, but it just helps you with the process of actually sitting down and painting.
yeah. So before like I was kind of like in a really like I might paint like a model a week just because I know I need to get it done. Um,
Yeah.
but I would turn on YouTube and I'd watch your videos.
Oh, that's flattering. I wasn't
Sounds-
fishing for that, but thanks.
I would. I know, as weird as that sounds, I would put some kind of um video on. I mean, I probably watched all of yours at some point, so I might go to some other channel. But I would put the video on, and then I would just listen to what the conversation was, and I see someone's painting, so okay, I need to start painting too. Um, so that kind of got me started into painting, was just watching other people paint at the same time as I was painting, and just kind of following on with conversations or whatever.
Hmm.
And then eventually, I kind of got down to the point where I didn't really need someone else to be painting for me to be doing it as well. Um, so like I might put on a movie next, like a couple months later, I started watching movies while I was doing it, and um, granted, it's probably always Lord of the Rings, and I know every word in the movie, but it was
Well, to
something else
that point,
besides.
you don't. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
And I guess there's something that, like different. It's not like okay, well, in order for me to keep motivated, I have to watch someone else paint. It got to the point where it was like, okay, I can watch a movie and still paint if I've seen it before. Um,
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of what I was about to hit on. I mean, to that point, if you're going to have something on, you don't necessarily want something that you is unfamiliar to you that is going to draw your attention too far away from the painting in
yeah,
front of you, right?
yeah,
So,
because I mean, for me, like it's so weird for me to say, but I used to watch Lord of the Rings like every day. Like I was watching Lord of the Rings because I loved the movie so much.
okay.
So I would literally be watching Lord of the Rings. Like Sari would come home and I'd be watching Lord of the Rings again, and she'd be like, "Again?" I'm like, "Yeah. Why? What's wrong?" And she's like, "You just watched it yesterday." I'm like, "Yeah, but this is the second one. It's not the first one again. It's the second one." So for me, it's kind of like I love the movie so much, and I would just watch them over and over again until the point where like I could go line by line down the movie as someone's speaking. And so for me, it's like I don't need to focus on because I know what's going to happen next. Um,
Sure.
so for the familiarization of like what's going on, it makes it so much easier. It's no longer it's background noise. And I'm very familiar with it. It's not going to make me uncomfortable, or it's not going to make me like, oh, what's going on, and I have to stop, take a break. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so for me, watching something familiar started being a big thing for me because it was like it's background noise. You don't need to worry about what's going on. I know what's going on. So then I could just focus on what I was trying to do, which is paint. Um, and then I would start doing that. Um, but right now I've got this little fancy, like 2 foot by 4 foot cardboard box. Basically, it's like a piece of cardboard box that I was laying on my living room table, and it sits on my table, and it reminds me every day when I come home I need to paint.
Okay. That's cool.
So yeah, it's just on my table, and I hate sitting on here because it looks dumb. But it's like, oh yeah, I should start painting now. So
Huh. Do you paint at the same time every day?
it really depends on what's going on. Sometimes to work, if some like work is either I'll be done, I can be done at 3 o'clock, or I might be done at 6 o'clock. So
Okay.
recently, it's kind of like, hey, I'm settled in. I did all the laundry, all the dishes are done. The house is clean. All right, now I can relax a little bit. And then I'll go ahead and I'll start painting maybe like 15, 20 minutes later. Um, but
See that
I try
that's
to
an
keep a
interesting
routine.
thing too. Mm-hmm.
I try to keep a routine. But for me, I don't mind being on at 9 o'clock at night with you because it basically is forcing me to paint. Um,
Yeah.
I'm not just gonna sit on your show and just talk to you and do nothing the entire time. So um, for me, it kind of forces me to
Yeah.
paint. So like Wednesday nights, I already know at 9 o'clock if you're doing the show, I will be painting.
Okay.
So for me, I don't like going to bed past like 10 o'clock most nights. So for me,
Mm-hmm.
the huge thing for me is if I get off late night work or something's going on, it's kind of like, well, I don't want to paint because if I get started, I'm not going to want to take a too long of a break, and then it's all of a sudden 10 o'clock's going to roll around and I just want to get this model done, and then it's 11 o'clock, and then I wake up at like 5 the next day and I'm like, I'm so tired, and then I come home and I don't want to do anything because I'm tired. So
Right.
I like keeping the routine, but at the same time, like some nights I just don't want to paint because of the fact it's like something stressful might have happened at work, or
Sure.
something else in life is stressful. So
Mm-hmm.
um
Yeah, that's the tough times too. Like there have been there are lots of times when you had a rough day or whatever. And granted, I usually say that painting for me is a relax. It's a way for me to wind down. But some days you're just not. You don't feel like even painting. It's been rough to that
yeah,
degree. That's like, you know what? I don't even know if I want to do the painting part that I enjoy so much. But and yeah, sometimes you take it. Like lately, I've taken a couple of nights off where I just don't. And the part of that too is because I don't have high priority stuff to paint right now. I'm just
yeah,
doing odds and ends. But yeah, that can be tough to work around too. For me, I try to paint the same time every night. Um, so it's usually around 9 o'clock for me because my kid is still awake, and he's starting to go down around 8:30 or so. And it's kind of tentative, because I'm kind of like the what's the word I'm looking for? I'm like the relief pitcher for my wife. My wife is, she's with him being so young, she's still pretty much the primary caretaker for the boy at night. Obviously, I spend lots of time with him playing in the evening too. But when it's time to go to bed, mom is the one that does most of that, unless something goes wrong. So, and lately stuff has been going wrong where he won't fall asleep with her, but he'll fall asleep with me, and so that means I have to. So that means I put the painting off. Either I delay it an hour or I just don't do it, and put him to bed. If I put him to bed and it's like 10:30, 11, I'm not going to paint that night. It's too late to start. And I paint late. Like
yeah,
some nights I'll go 12:30 or 1 if I'm trying to finish something. I don't recommend doing it, but sometimes I've done it. Um, but yeah, if it's like 10:30, 11, I won't start. A lot of times though, like more recently, I'd say 9:30 is a more realistic time for me to get settled in. But I'm coming downstairs, because my house is the boy. We're all upstairs, but this painting area is downstairs. So I so I grab my drink. I grab something if I'm going to snack on something, which is not a good idea that late at night, but I do it anyway. Um, and then I settle in, and I usually have I'll usually play music, or I'll have YouTube going, and I'll have I'll have somebody else's feed or another long program on YouTube going, so that I can paint not something that I need to be looking at the screen. Like if I have Netflix on, just like you said, it's got to be something that I'm somewhat familiar with, or I'm not, or I don't need to pay full attention to. And that works as great, just kind of background to keep you going while you're painting. So anyway, for those of you just tuning in, welcome to Play It Painted Live. We're talking about staying motivated while painting. Let us know in the comments what you're painting or what you should be painting. And yeah, you can comment via YouTube, Google+, or you can hit me up on Twitter at Play It Painted. I'm going to reload some comments here. Okay, no new comments so far, but I want to say thanks to those of you just tuning in. I can see we have a few more viewers now, so that's always good. But yeah, that's what we're talking about. How to stay motivated while you're, so that you can actually get some of this painting done. It's it can be very, very daunting. I mean, for sure. And it's weird that I don't presume to judge anyone who can't get a lot of painting done, because sometimes it's just difficult to line up the necessary things to happen so that you can sit down and paint. And so when I can sit down and paint, I make sure to make it fairly productive, and I make sure to work on what I need to actually get done, as opposed to stuff that are just sort of pet projects. But yeah, the other thing that I want to touch on too is you mentioned earlier that you would tune into this show or another show to get you motivated, kind of like almost like an accountability person, right? So if you keep, it's just like, again, it's just like working out. If you have a partner to help keep you accountable, you're going to do a little bit better. And I feel that's the same way with painting. If you have a group of friends and you guys are all starting a game and you all have starter kits, it's a great idea to sit down and everybody paint together, because they can be very productive. And I love painting with other people, because I always say that no matter how good you are at painting, you can always learn something from somebody else. Somebody else is doing something that you don't do that might benefit you. And skill or perceived skill or experience or whatever, be damned. Sometimes somebody's walking in here with a fresh set of eyes, and they can just approach something and do it in a way that is going to benefit you. So.
Okay, so I have a question for you.
Okay, go for it.
Do you support the? I don't know if you've ever. I mean, I know a couple places that do the like a build and paint day.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever gone to those?
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, I hosted a paint day last year at Comic Quest. So yeah, I love those. There's one that Tin Man XL in his local community did. I know he didn't throw the event, but it was one that he attended, called Iron Painter. And they had an Iron Painter event in Bakersfield. That's where he's from. And they do it, they keep the shop open overnight. So they stay up the whole night and paint. And then at the end of it, I don't know what, there's some judging or something that happens at the end of it, which is really cool. But I like when they were doing that, I was like, that was like one of the things that I wanted to do, was drive up to Bakersfield, bring some models with me, and just paint with a bunch of people. I just think that would be awesome. I think the most people I've ever painted with was 4 or 5 people, and this was during the Malifaux days. We did a paint day at Mercenary Market.
Okay.
And that was fun. And I shared a lot of, like, there were people at that paint day that have never picked up a paintbrush before, and so so some of us were showing them our systems, and everybody has a different system. And one of the things that we told everybody was like, look, none of us are wrong. This is just what works for him. This is what works for me. And you can look at those and decide what's going to work best for you. And I just thought that was awesome. I love, like, that's kind of the point of the show, is I like painting with people. And, you know, if Minutes on the Sun or Viv or, you know, any of those guys, Tony, if those guys want to pop on and just paint, I don't care. I think it's awesome. Where I was talking about maybe getting some other YouTubers on the show too, just to come on and paint. Unfortunately, you know, some of them are Euros that you know, with the time difference we can't do. But, you know, maybe we schedule a separate broadcast or something like that. Because this is a big part of the social aspect of the hobby for me. So painting is great. I mean, sorry, gaming is great, and I love the gaming. But it's cool also to have a social component to the painting part. I think that's really awesome. So I don't know if I answered your question, maybe a little too thoroughly.
No, you did. You did, and yeah, I've attended myself personally. I've attended 2 of those. I've attended one actual paint day,
Okay.
where it was during the Malifaux time at that point. And we all got together at Paradise and we did some painting. And then there was another time. It wasn't really like I was painting, but it was when Eddie's was at their old place in Poway. I want to say it was something like an anniversary date or something like for them, and they brought in, like, I don't know if he was a professional painter or something like that, but or like some kind of award winner. But he came in and he basically like went over airbrush techniques and how to paint stuff, and that was really cool because, I mean, it's something to watch something on YouTube, but at the same time, like, when I'm watching your videos, I can't stop you in the middle of your sentence to ask you what you're doing. Like, I can ask you now because it's real time, but like watching a video, you know, like that you just did 2 weeks ago, I can't ask you a question of like, oh, hey, how'd you do that? I mean, well, I do anyways. I message you and be like, hey, how'd you do this? But
yeah,
I think.
But I don't know. That's not. You could potentially do something like that.
Yeah.
It's interesting. But even then, like, even painting with me here on Google Plus is pretty good, but even this is not quite as good as being in the exact same room as somebody.
Yeah.
And painting with them, because there's some detail lost, obviously, over, you know, the camera and whatnot. I've had I've had some people, like, for example, Matt Shears. He asked me one day. He's like, look, I watch you paint on your show all the time, and I've seen, you know, and I've listened to you paint, and I've how you paint, describe how you paint in your other videos and stuff. But can you just sit down and paint with me? I was like, okay, sure, whenever you want to do that. And I was like, what part are you missing? I was like, well, what am I not conveying? And he's like, well, I just want to see how you're actually mixing your paint and how you're applying it, because, and he pointed out that, like, he tried to do the exact same things I did, and he's like, and using the same paints, and he's like, how is your paints coming out? How are they coming out flatter? And how are they coming out, you know, how are your lines coming out sharper when we're doing the exact same thing? And I said, I don't know. I can't explain that one. We will have to actually sit down, and you can watch me paint and see what I'm doing that you may not be catching, and I'm probably not aware of, and that's probably the difference. So I mean, there is.
I think that'd be something great to do sometime. Just because I know the GameStart here, they every once in a while I'll see, like, on their emails it'll say, hey, we're hosting a paint or a build and paint day, and like I've just gone like I might not have gone to paint anything, but I would go in and stop in just to see what was going on, and there was really like no surprise at all, like.
Yeah,
like, hey, you know, you can
asked me to do a paint day, so it's on the agenda. I told Kelly I would do it. We just have to look at a day to do that. And I think once all the Kickstarter stuff comes out, it's going to be even more incentive to do stuff like that. Comment here, and I know it's a few minutes ago, from 33 Claydog. That's funny. I'm listening to you guys while I paint while you are talking about exactly that. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that is the point of the show. And if as long as people get something from having this show in the background while they might be painting, either live or recorded, then it's good. And I feel like we are doing something beneficial here. Besides that, I forget who I was telling. Like I would be painting at this time anyway, so it's just a question of, do I turn the camera on or not?
Yeah.
So. Yep. There is some stuff that I wish I could paint right now, but it's just not high priority. Perfect example is my Big Lebowski miniatures.
Huh.
I love those Lebowski miniatures. The ones that I know David J. Blood posted his.
He did his, yep.
On SoCal Tabletop, and I was like, man, I just need to order. And the reason why I'm not painting them, well, a couple of reasons why I'm not painting them. One, the game I want to use them for is not even available in the States as far as I know. And two, I want to get those Forgecraft bases so that I can give them the basing that I want them to have. So yeah, I want to use those miniatures for a game called Onitama. So if you guys out there in the interwebs know of a way I can get a hold of the game Onitama, please let me know, or please share that with me, because that's what I want to use these Lebowski miniatures for. Have you ever heard of that game, Corey?
I have not.
Okay, this is an interesting game. Onitama is a Japanese perfect information chess game that uses, I think it's couldn't be more than 10 pieces per side, and the game takes exactly 5 minutes to play. And I just think that's so cool. I love. When it was what we were talking about earlier about Relic Knights, how we can get in when we game, and we're going to be gaming tomorrow night. We can get in, if we're playing arcade, we can get in like 3 to 4 games in a session easily. And it's because arcade games can go, as we'll call it 30 to 60 minutes on average.
Yeah.
Onitama plays in 5 minutes, and so how awesome would that be? If we're just sitting around, let's just do something while we wait for so-and-so to come back from Arby's or whatever. Let's just play some Onitama. But yeah, it's a really interesting system in that, you have these, the moves available to you are on cards. They're like 2 cards on either side of you, and you pick one move or the other move. And the move that you pick, you perform that move, and once you perform the move, you pass that card onto your opponent, who now has access to that card as one of their available moves. And you go through that a few times with the goal of either taking out the person's warlord, aka king, in order to win what is basically a game of chess. And so when the Big Lebowski miniatures came out, I noticed that you have the dude, and then you have the Big Lebowski, and I was like, huh. And then you have like Donnie, and you've got the other characters in there. You have a few different versions of the female lead in that movie, and I was like, huh. You could, if you wanted to, you could play Onitama of the dude versus the Big Lebowski, and so I totally want to do that. I think that's awesome. I would love to just break that out for people and play the Big Lebowski. So anyways, on that note, miniature's been on my desk so long that it's gathering dust. This is, I forget her name. She's the Reaper mascot thing, whatever. But this is an example of the Docks of Doom set. So take the peg and the tie out, and if you look at the wood planking, pretty nice, huh? Not too bad. So my thinking was I could do something like this. I'm sorry?
Is that in like an insert or an actual bait, like a resin base?
It's a whole resin base.
Oh, okay.
Forgecraft makes these. She just happens to be sitting around my desk. I think I painted her on a live show like a year ago or something. But anyway, if you can imagine it without this part, and Forgecraft sells the ones that don't have the rope or whatever, and if you paint the wood planks down and then you were to put a gloss coat or a varnish down, that would look like, to me, that would look like a bowling alley, right? And you can paint little, violation lines or whatever on that. And so I imagine the Lebowski miniatures on that. And yeah, I think it would work. I think it'd be pretty cool. So anyway, that's my idea for Onitama. So once again, you guys tuning in and you know how I can get a copy of that game, I would be much obliged to be able to do that.
You check like eBay.
We're gonna look some. Yeah, I checked eBay. No, nothing on eBay. Nothing on Amazon. You can enter Onitama on YouTube, and there might be 1 or 2 videos on it. But yeah, think about it, Corey. 5-minute miniature game. Wouldn't you love that?
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
The way to go.
And yeah, and plus with the Lebowski miniatures. So anyway, I'm gonna load some comments here, see if we have any other comments. By the way, I'm pretty much done with my miniatures, but we're gonna hang out for just a few here. I don't know if I probably should. I think their skin is looking a little too flat. So I mean, I know this guy looks totally washed out on camera because of all the light colors on him. But his skin just looks a little too flat. I don't know. I may wash it again. Maybe I should wash his skin again. Let's do that. Mostly him. The other ones look a little bit better in terms of their skin. Like her skin looks pretty good. And she looks pretty good. Even though I can't get the camera to focus on her because the colors are just... It might be the reflection off my hand too. But her skin looks pretty good. Most of the ladies look pretty good. Just the paladin guy. Sebastian Cross. You know, I've never even played the SDE, these SDE minis. And I want to. We should actually try them out at some point. Because I want my... until Forgotten King comes out, I actually want this to be my demo. These as the playable characters. And then the mini-boss you'd fight would be Kasaruto. So that way, we've got this type of SDE demo running, and then right next to me, you're running Relic Knights or whatever, or somebody else is running Relic Knights, and it's all cohesive. Haha.
That'd be pretty cool.
So what am I going to paint next, now that these guys are done? Oh, I'll probably move on to finishing up my Von Drack set, which is all still very much in the early, like this is one of those ones that was in the early airbrush stage. Then I never really got back to it because I had all this other stuff that took priority over it. This is a really cool miniature. I like this. Looking forward to painting him. Alright, so let's get a wash on Sebastian Cross. I can
thing
hear
I think
your.
is
What was the question?
having it's more like a statement for keeping motivated. Um, I think for me, it's not just the fact that I'm trying to do like that I'm doing the volunteer stuff, but it's as far as people that are playing the game, because like Infinity, like it's you and I are kind of like I've only played a game with you before.
Mm-hmm.
And I know some people have it. So for me, I want to get it done because you were playing it. Now, like um, I've got the game Relic, which I think I've talked to you before about it.
Mm-hmm.
We've discussed that once or a couple of times, and no one's playing it at all. Um, but I like the models, and I think the system is interesting the way it works. So I have those models, but they're on my table because, well, I want to paint them, but no one's playing it, so it's not really that much of a priority because, well, right now there's no need for me to have them finished. Um,
Sure.
unless I'm trying to
Are
show
you
someone.
talking? Hmm?
I mean, so for me, like having the motivation of like someone like the Rock Knight stuff, I want people to play it, so I'm gonna try to get it done sooner. Or like Infinity, we're playing it, and I want it to be painted. So for me, that's like up next after Relic Knights is all done. And I think for me, that's kind of like the big thing.
Okay. I was going to ask, when you say relic, are you talking relics?
Yeah,
The game with the little Stitch Punk
yeah, the little
miniatures?
Stitch Bretonian guys. Yeah,
Okay. I've been I could probably be down for painting some of those. Those look pretty cool.
yeah. I know
I
my
may have to. I
brother
know
has a
that
set.
they were on crazy sale down at Ease, so maybe
They
I'll
are,
pick up a
and I bought a whole bunch of them.
nice.
I mean, they were like
It'd
sixty
be worth
percent
a
off.
try once. I mean,
There was no way I was gonna
yeah,
pass
as
up.
long as okay, yeah, if that could be like maybe we could. It wouldn't take me too long to paint one of the starters, and then we could try it out, play a game of that. I think
Yeah.
that'd be cool.
So I think and like Lord of the Rings, not a lot of people that really play it. So for me, it's not really a high priority. Um,
Hmm.
but it's something that I want to have done. Um,
Sure.
so like when I was playing a lot of Dreadball, a lot of Dread Zone, or a lot of Dreadball and Dead Zone, um, it was like, okay, everyone's playing, everyone's got painted stuff except for me. I need to get this stuff done.
Hmm.
Um, so for me, that's another big thing. If people are into it and I want to play it, then it's kind of more of a motivation than just, oh well, I have this stuff and I want to paint it. So that's another big thing for me too, is if I want people to play it, or if someone else is playing it, then I have more motivation to finish it.
Sure. Makes sense. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, let me. It's a strong tone here. Did I do that right? No. I don't even know. Let's see. Um. Okay. So I'm just doing some cleanup work on the end here with some of these miniatures. But yeah, they're mostly done. I don't know. I think the first set that I did look a little bit better than these, but I think they both look pretty cool. So can't complain.
I mean, from here they look pretty good. So
Maybe I'd say maybe I got the eyes better on that other set than on this set. But otherwise, pretty happy with them. They're gonna look good on the board. Man, I have so many of those double-sided tiles that we could play just the biggest campaign ever for SDE if we wanted to.
yeah,
Those are so cool. So what do you want me to bring tomorrow? Because we're gonna game tomorrow. I'm
yeah,
It's gonna be kind of tricky because I'm getting off work at 4.
Okay.
So what I might do is put my bag in the car. I don't think it's going to be too hot tomorrow, so I'm not terribly worried about it being in the car. Um, which means I got to have stuff ready tonight to bring. So any requests or anything specific you want me to bring?
I mean, Relic Knights, obviously.
Okay.
After that, I mean, I'll bring my Eldorado Anima Tactics with me just to have them. Um,
Okay.
and then if it's up to you if you want to play Infinity or not, if we're gonna have time. I mean, if you want to bring it, that's fine. Um, but that's
Do they
totally up.
carry Infinity at Paradise?
They do not.
Okay. Just curious to see if I would be tempted into buying something or no.
No, if
That's
you want to get a Doctrine Starter set, though, again, they have that.
good. I just sold my Doctrine too, but I saw that. But every time I see that Codifier Bray or whatever, I'm like, man,
Yeah.
I should have kept my Doctrine.
Yep.
But yeah, I got plenty of Relic Knights to enjoy.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so tomorrow for sure I'll bring Relic Knights. Should I bring Terrain? I guess
No,
I'll bring
I'll
like
bring.
one board with me.
Don't worry about that. I'll bring I'll bring a couple boxes of stuff.
Okay. Why don't I just bring? I'll just plan on bringing what I brought to
Yeah.
Orcon this
That
weekend. So it's just one bag, and I'll have Relic Knights, Anima, Eldorado, and Infinity on me. So I'll have lots of stuff on me. So, all right. Well, let's see. I think I'm going to load comments one more time. It's now 11, so let's load comments one more time. See. Let's see. Where did that go? Any more comments? No more comments. But yeah, I don't know. Pretty good discussion. I felt pretty cool.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you guys watching got something out of it. We at least got some painting done. Looking forward to getting some more painting done and hopefully trying these guys out at some point as well. So anyway, I think anything to add, Corey, before we sign off here?
No, I don't. Oh boy, except for I screwed this guy's eyes up. I did horrible eyes. Oh, time to repeat the entire thing. There we go. Oh boy.
All right, cool. Well, anyway, I think that's going to do it for this show. I want to thank everybody. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Corey.
No, that's
One
all
more
right.
time?
There you go. That's what I got done.
I think he's cool. That's a high elf, isn't he?
Well,
Is that a high elf?
the body is Sebastian. The sword, the arm, and the head is high elf.
Okay. Yeah, I thought I recognized the head at least. So
Yeah, the head
cool.
is definitely high elf head.
Nice. Still tournament legal because it's still less than 25% of the model or whatever.
Yep.
So
Well, I mean,
anyway,
this is the model as well, right? So I mean, I guess that's
yeah, that's true. That's what I'm saying. Like way less than 25% of the model.
yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, with that, I think we're gonna close the show. Want to thank everyone for watching. Corey, thanks for hopping on again.
Yep. Thank you.
So that's gonna be it for this episode, and we'll catch you on the next one.